Welcome to the DrNursePaul Show, hosted by Aspire RN and Dr. Paul. You are watching the USA Nurse Series. DrNursePaul is an NCLEX expert, having trained and mentored thousands of international nurses past the NCLEX RN for over a decade. He graduated with a Doctor of Nursing Practice in Texas Christian University. He is a registered nurse, an advanced practice registered nurse, and a certified family nurse practitioner. He also has completed a certificate for nurse educator postgraduate course. Aside from teaching, he has extensive clinical experience in emergency and family medicine. He has over 15 years of combined clinical and academic healthcare experience. DrNursePaul is an immigrant from the Philippines. He is currently based in Houston, Texas, where he operates his business, DrNursePaul, and Aspire RN NCLEX Prep. He loves to share his life story of how he overcame his challenges to reach his dreams. He is passionate in helping nurses realize the American dream. So without further ado, let's all welcome DrNursePaul.
Right, good morning everyone. Welcome to the DrNursePaul Show, and today we're going to talk about travel nursing. By the way, this is the USA Nurse Series, Living the American Dream of the DrNursePaul Show. And let me bring in my guests for today. We have Travel Nurse Hacker Kaye, Nurse Anna, and of course, Nurse Juan. There you go. Hello guys, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, Doctor.
Good morning.
Howdy.
Coffee. There you go. All right. Kaye, where are you coming from for today? Can you tell everyone where you coming from?
Currently I'm in Maryland.
Maryland. How about Nurse Anna?
Hello, I'm from New York.
New York. And Nurse Juan. All right. I think
I'm mute.
yeah, I think it's muted and I think it's a little frozen. Let's wait for Nurse Juan. I know Nurse Juan just came out from his work, and thank you for joining the show. Let's wait for him to come back. And I think he's here, Nurse Juan. There you go. You hear us? All right. Let's give time for Nurse Juan to fix his mic and camera. And good morning to everyone who's watching us. We are streaming this live in Dr. Nurse Paul Facebook page, Dr. Nurse Paul YouTube, and of course in Lefora. So Anna, Kay, and Juan are my co-administrators for perhaps the biggest immigrant nursing group in Facebook. I'm not claiming that, but yeah, let's claim that today. With probably 189. Every time I sleep, I wake up, it's 1,000 members more. So 188,000 as of the last time I checked it. And going strong. And thanks to the Live for Facebook group, we're sending big waves to the immigration industry, right, Kay? And
Yes.
the forerunners for that.
Yes, we are.
All right. And Nurse Juan is here. Nurse Juan, can you tell us where you're coming from for today?
Hi, I'm here from night shift, so I'm still in Kentucky.
In Kentucky. All right. And I'm based over here in Houston. So all four of us have experience in travel nursing. But I'm going to let everyone introduce themselves, starting with Kay, the travel nurse hacker.
All right. Good morning, everyone. My name is Kaye. I'm a travel nurse hacker. Been traveling for 16 years around Northeast Coast corridor, all the way from Boston down to Maryland, DC area. Yeah. So that's my experience. I make sure that I do this in a way that I will understand the healthcare system, the different healthcare systems. So initially, when I jumped in, my goal was to just learn, because I was going for a master's in education. That was my reason. It wasn't really money. So now, but 2020 came, everybody's like jumping to travel nursing because of the money.
Right.
Money has been there ever since, not just as high as you think, but it's been there. So first thing you have to know is really know your goals and why you're doing that. Now I'm doing this for network business investments, and not a lot of people see that. So that's where we're gonna talk about.
Yay! Thank you, Kay. Let's talk to Anna and let her introduce herself.
Hello, good morning, everyone from New York. So I started my traveling 4 years ago. Today is my 4-year anniversary.
Yay.
So I started traveling because of money. Primarily of money, because during that time my mom was diagnosed with cancer, and I've been working a lot, like 70 hours every week. And I was telling myself, no matter how hard I work, the money is not enough. As you know, healthcare in the Philippines is not very good. So that's what really made me jump into travel nursing. And then later on, after a year, I realized it's not just the money, but the freedom and like what I always say, work smart, not hard.
Right.
Yay.
Hey.
I'm learning from her.
How about Nurse Juan?
Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm Nurse Juan. I'm a content creator. And among the four of us, I'm the newest travel nurse. Like, I'm the youngest as a travel nurse. So I've been traveling just for a year and maybe like 6 months. So I'm pretty new with this. So I dive in with the travel nursing because, of course, the money, and because I work as a staffing agency before, and the money wasn't really good enough. So I had to find a way to like cope for the years like I lost working in a staffing agency. So fortunately, it was during that COVID time, so I did earn a lot of money then. So yeah, so I'm only based here in Kentucky. Hopefully soon I might travel somewhere else in a different state. So
Nice.
we'll see.
Thank you, Nurse Juan. I thought Nurse Juan was gonna say, I'm the youngest.
I know, right?
Hold on.
I'm the youngest.
Rub it in. Okay, I'm the oldest.
We're talking about our age. All right. Yeah, come on.
No, I'm not
Yeah.
sure if who's the youngest among the four of us.
Let's not talk
Yeah,
about
I think I think
everybody,
you.
everybody.
it. We
Young
have
at heart.
we have a viewer
Me,
here.
young at heart.
Zulfikar is watching us from Dubai. If I'm not mistaken, Zulfikar is my student in Aspire RN. Thank you, Zulfikar, for joining us
Oh.
today. We have Mirna saying hi, good morning to everyone. Can you guys tell us where you're coming from so we can mention you online? Lay is here. Hello, ma'am and sir. Rich is saying good morning to all. Jolly, good morning. And Francis is watching from YouTube. Good morning from the Philippines. Thank you. And I have my guest speakers are way popular in Facebook in the Facebook group, and also in their own Facebook pages like Travel Nurse Hacker, Nurse Juan, and Nurse Anna. They have avid following. So thank you. And we've already reached 100 viewers just
Hi
5 minutes
everyone.
into the show. This is phenomenal. All right. And of course, it's Holy Week for Catholics and Christians this week. So I was contemplating of either canceling the show or continuing, but we have so much topics lined up in the next couple of weeks. Particularly, it's going to be Nurses Month next May, so I didn't want to miss the show. But thank you guys for joining me. We're going to try to be nice today because it's
Nice. I can't promise that.
Saturday. Joy said hello to my favorite nurses from the Philippines. Joe said, good morning, mga Lodi, your idol. And from the Philippines, Daisy, Mirna from Philippines as well. Lily from Iloilo. Zuit from Nebraska. Wow, good morning. And Leslie is coming from South Florida. She's also a travel nurse recruiter. We might want to talk to you after this for some contracts available.
Yeah.
Anyway, so thank you, Juan, Kay, and Anna, for joining me today. I know it's a little short notice as always. Well, not really, because we were together in San Antonio last week, except one. But thank you. Today we're going to talk about the pros and cons of travel nursing, um, advantages and disadvantages, of course, and how do we start with travel nursing. I know our travel nurse friends have a lot to share. I did travel nursing myself. Um, I plan to start my travel nursing after I finished my direct hire contract 3 years ago. But right at the same time that I was going to do my first travel contract, the pandemic hit. So I was in South Texas. We had zero case of COVID, and I was traveling to Houston for the first time. So my original contract says 40 or 50 an hour, which for me was a big boost at that time, coming from a 30 something per hour, right,
Mhm.
to a 50 an hour. And I still share my room with my friend back then. So that was big for me. But then because of the COVID, everybody started going to New York. But I'm not sure if I
Yeah.
want to go to New York at that time. I came up with a
Why?
license, but they were
Why not? Yeah.
Why not? We were fine.
go to
We're
New
good
York,
people.
and I was ready to jump into New York, and my the hospital that hired me said, okay, we're gonna bump you up to 70. I think that was 76 or 78 an hour, and for me that was, oh my god, I've never seen so much money. Like for me, staying in Texas where I can just drive to my previous house and earn 78 an hour was a win for me. And then of course, after New York, Texas got hit the second wave, and they say, okay, stay in Texas, we're gonna pay 100 an hour. So that's what started me travel nursing. But most of my contracts I did in Texas, but I did Hawaii and Chicago too. What I usually do is around summer, I go to a new place to kind of like enjoy summer, because summer in Texas can be brutal. With, I mean, Kay and Anna were here in San Antonio last week, and they've been sweating
Migraine.
all day because it's just we're just barely approaching spring, and it's already like 89 degrees here when they were here. Well, it started dropping down to 60, so they just waited for you to come over here and the heat wave started set. And here's Harleen, hello from Tacloban, and who is this? Something wrong with the audio. Can you guys hear us real quick?
I
Let
can
Um,
hear you.
Yeah.
yeah, I can hear you guys. So maybe it's an
I,
internet issue.
I
All
had
right.
to exit earlier po like twice and like log back in because I couldn't hear you guys. So maybe he can or she can do that as well.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. So just please try to refresh your browser or your
Mhm.
Facebook if you're watching from Facebook, okay? And today, the first topic in this morning will be all about. By the way, it's morning here in the U.S., but I know in the Philippines it's already like past nine,
Nighttime.
which majority of our viewers are from there. And let's talk about the pros of travel nursing. What do you think, guys, made you jump into travel nursing? Kay, Anna, Nurse One, who wants to talk first?
Yeah, I'll tell first. So, and contrary to everybody waiting for their contract to finish, actually, I did travel nurse after my first year as a
Mhm.
contractual nurse from the US. I had 3 years contract, but I try to be a good employee. So I told my boss after 1 year, "Hey, boss, can I work on weekends? Because I'm going to school." So I really went back to school for my master's in education, and I told her that I needed to take some time off during the weekday. But I didn't tell her that, hey, I'm gonna go also somewhere else to work, right? But there was no non-compete clause in my contract anyway, so we're allowed to do it. Um, my initial goal was just to make sure that after one contract, I'll be able to pay my entire masters, and it did. Um, I'm hearing a feedback. Sorry, I got distracted. So that's the reason. For one contract, will pay off my entire masters, and then after that, I took
Mhm.
some couple of months off, and I said, "Hey, this is fun. I can save my money for my entire vacation to Philippines." And then after that, it was just okay. I like that. Okay, I'm gonna save this money for this. Oh, and after that, hey, I'm gonna throw all my salary from my original job to my retirement, and then just live off with this salary from travel nursing so I can retire early. So it's just one goal after another that I was setting up. And then again, after a couple of years, I said, I really didn't have to go far. I can just be local and stay with my family. Because I have a boyfriend that time, very clingy boyfriend, right? My husband now. So, and I said, I can do this locally and stay with my family and start a business locally. So then I started doing local travel and was able to grow my network through being a local travel nurse. Um, when it comes to investment, I saw the opportunity to see who's coming into new hospitals. Like if there's new research items, research materials. Operating room is a very big place where
Mhm.
they do a lot of research technology. And if I see something, I will invest on that company. So there was a lot of things that you can do from travel nursing. Yeah, so that's my experience. Why I'm still traveling.
That's perfect. That was 16 years ago. Such an inspiration. You know, I've first encountered Kay, I think, in the travel nursing group, right? In
Yes.
the Gypsy Network. When she was still a member. I'm not sure if she's still.
Yeah, I left that group, the big group, but I'm with Travel Nurse Guide with
Work.
yeah, with Drew.
Mhm.
Right,
So I
right.
I share my expert advices there as well. So you should join that.
Yep, yep.
Not
That's
the newbies.
perfect.
I'm not part of the newbies anymore. No, we advance, so that's it.
All right. How about Anna?
So, 4 years ago, I was working full time as a ward nurse in a hospital. I was working 312, and then my mother got sick very often, and then I took a lot of calls. I took a lot of overtime, and I was saying, the money is not enough because, back home in the Philippines, we have a very not good healthcare insurance. There's no health insurance at all. So I applied in another job. So I was working full time and I was working part time as a weekend nurse. And then I was telling myself I was working 70, 80 hours, but I was happy because I'm able to provide for my mom. But I'm getting burned out, like working 5 days a week or 12 hours and not really getting the money that I really need for my mom. I resigned for my full-time job and I slowly researched about traveling nursing. That's where I met Faye. You know me, I always do a lot of research before I jump into something. And then I applied my first hospital in one of the biggest company here in New York, Northwell. And but I'm still working as part time on the weekends. I slowly left my part time after 6 months. So it helped me a lot financially, helping my mother back home. I was able to hire nurses, caregivers, and I was able to admit her in one of the private hospitals in the Philippines. And it helped me save my sanity, working from 5 days a week, 48 to 70 hours a day for only 3 days helped me a lot. So that was my story going back trying traveling nursing. And then later on I was able to pay all the hospital bills, the mortgage, the car, and it helped me a lot with the cost. I haven't been taking calls for 4 years now, not working on a holiday, not working on a weekend. So that's the pros of travel nursing.
That's the goal. Work smarter, not
Mhm.
harder. And then, of course, I have to feature this. Hi to Ryan, proud husband of Miss Anna. Thank you, Ryan, for tuning in today. You have your number one fan, Anna. Hi,
My
Ryan.
enabler.
And of course, we have who is it? Jam. Good morning from Qatar to our savior, Miss Kaye. And Mirna said, excited to see all of you. And Sheila is watching us today. She said she's watching us until her meeting starts. All right. Thank you
Hi,
guys for
Sheila.
joining us today. And how about Nurse Juan? You know, Nurse Juan is a popular content creator for
Mm.
immigrant nurses in YouTube. And let's hear. And by the way, Nurse Juan is coming from night shift today. So thank you so much for joining us. And not
You're
sleep.
welcome. Pardon my eye bugs.
No, you're good. You're
Okay.
good. You don't look like you went from night shift.
Oo nga.
Oh, was this filter? So there you go. So for me, I took up the travel nursing because most of my colleagues back in my first hospital here, everyone was like doing travel nursing, and their pay was like twice the pay that I'm getting for 2 weeks work. So it's like 1 week travel nursing salary is equivalent to like 2 weeks salary for like a regular employee. So that's the thing that really like pushed me. Like I really wanted to finish my contract as fast as I can so I can grab those what do you call this, COVID pay. And I did get a little bit of the COVID pay, from $20 bump up to like I think $90 per hour for that first few months. So it was really nice to get that much amount of money for the first few months. So definitely for me, it's I know it sounds selfish and what is selfish is mostly for the money. I work with the travel nursing, and I found out later on the flexibility, and I can schedule
Mm.
leaves that I want before I sign a contract. And another thing, I don't have to deal with a lot of management
Drama.
dramas. Yeah, that's the term. So it was very very
Everyone can
convenient.
agree with that.
Yeah. So I don't have to go to meetings. I don't have to like
Yay.
listen to certain um, micromanage like stupid rules. So so
Let's be real.
so it's like
Correct.
yeah. So like I pity the staff nurse, but oh well. So so I'm done with that for 2 years working in one hospital. So yeah, there's a lot of pros for being a travel nurse. So I do really encourage, especially those who are single, that you try getting on board on the travel nursing. It will really boost your like financial
Mhm.
capacity or financial earnings, and it will give you more um, experience. It really does. It broadens up your like mind. Have flexibility and how things are done in different facilities, different floor, different hospitals. So it is a really plus. So yeah, I think that's it.
Thank you, Juan, for Being real today, I agree with many of your points. I guess we all agree with that. Well, while it's really, really different working from the Philippines to the US, there's so much great things there. But of course,
Yeah.
it comes with own caveat. So, like Nurse Juan said, micromanaging with full-time jobs, that's very real because, hospitals follow certain protocols and rules. Like, for example, with me in the ER, we have a lot of press gainy, what you call this, um
Res-
what's this,
survey,
survey,
survey.
Sorry,
right? Like,
yeah.
including, did the staff nurse greeted you? Good morning. Well, I just triaged 100 patients, so I'm sorry if I missed one, and
Yeah.
that happened to be the one who got the survey, right? I want to message the press gainy president in LinkedIn. I added him recently, observing what he's talking about in LinkedIn. But something like that, like, little things that could affect, the nursing morale, because sometimes, because hospitals and administrators are so keen into following all the guidelines for probably reimbursements or bonuses or something,
Mm-hmm.
forget the welfare of actually the people who's in the front line, which are the nurses, like nurses, our techs, our everybody that works in the hospital. Because now we're like robots just following, the protocols and guidelines, say good morning to everybody. If I could record myself so I could play it in triage, I probably do that so I won't forget someone, something like that. But for me, of course, number one was money was good, definitely. I'm single, so I had the flexibility of going around. Um, and I had a goal, and we talked about financial literacy back then, a couple of seasons or episodes ago, and we're going to talk about more of that soon. But for me, I had a financial goal, and it brought me like years ahead. So if I'd stay full time staff versus I travel, it put me forward by a couple of years ahead with my financial goal. So that was one main reason. The second main reason is, like Juan said, and he actually talked about it, and Kay and Anna, the flexibility of travel nursing, because it has its caveats, yes, but the main factor that we like is flexibility, where we can jump on a contract today, and if it doesn't work for us, I mean, if the hospital don't like it, they fire you. To be honest, travel nurses can also fire hospitals. We're like,
Correct.
I'm done.
Boycott.
So I'm sorry.
Ahem,
I'm
ahem.
not, I'm not encouraging this behavior,
No,
but
no.
sometimes things doesn't work for you. Culture might be
Mhm.
different. If every workplace has a different culture, or maybe it's just too far from your family, or maybe time, because sometimes they put you in very what's this, sa Tagalog, alanganin, like weird schedule where you're one day on off on off on off, or you'll be like night shift today, mid shift tomorrow, night shift again, and mid shift and night shift, something like that. So your body's like, what the hell is going on, right? All for the money, but it's not about the money at all the time. So flexibility, where I can jump into contracts when I want, stop the contract when I don't want to, or find another contract in the middle of a contract because the contract doesn't work for me. And honestly, number three, I'm a traveler, not with the nursing stuff, but I love to travel and experience new places. So I think one also said every workplace is different, right? So I want to experience. I like, all right, if I say, oh, this ER is crazy, maybe there's something crazier there. I want to see what a crazy ER looks like, because ER is always crazy.
Wow.
So
Strong.
every time I jump into a new year, I was like, oh, I thought that was the worst one. This is the worst one. Every time I go to a new year, it's like opening up Pandora's box. It unlocks a new thing for me that's like,
Yeah.
oh, I love this job, but I also don't like it. But I don't know. I love ER nursing, but there's just some things, But I like flexibility and the travel part. But that was about it. But there's so many reasons for doing this, so many good things. And I think during the pandemic, we've seen the biggest movement of
Mm-hmm.
flipping from full-time to travel nursing, right? That's why hospitals tried to stop us back in 2021. They banded together and say, you know what, let's take this to Senate or to the Congress. Let's get these travel agencies accountable for putting the prices up. But honestly, I've joined some of the threads. I'm a little activist myself, and I got like followed by some stalkers, non-Filipinos, of course, because I'm an immigrant, and they don't like, I guess,
Mhm.
people. I mean, that's not their color talking like that. But I've said, I think it's just because it's not that the agencies are bringing the prices up. It's nurses now are beginning to know their value, particularly during the
Mhm.
pandemic. We are very much needed. All departments, whatever type of nurse you are, they say before, as long as you're a nurse and you have a pulse, doesn't matter if you're 85-year-old or just came off nursing school yesterday or probably graduating in a month. I mean, even the fourth year students, right, in BSN, they put you on the spot and put you to work because they just needed nurses. They don't care if you've been out of nursing for 20 years and you've been practicing something else. They just need a nurse. I think the nurses found their value, and that's what really nurses deserve to be uh, paid for the longest time. Because you know how they're capping nurses' salary per
Mhm.
region, right? Except in unionized areas. But travel nursing unlocked this, thing for nurses where, oh, I could stay in my own house, travel to the next city, and get paid twice over, right? So it's just supply and demand. Like, why would I not do that? If I can just drive 60 miles away and be back home every 3 days, I'll do that. So I guess they didn't see that coming, but the pandemic steered this passion for nurses to really be paid our worth, because we do so much for our communities, for our patients. But I wanna. So this is an angle that was asked multiple times, but I didn't have the experience for it. What about travel nurses with families? So I want to talk to Kay and Anna about that. What's your story?
Um, Travel nurse works with anyone with a goal, technically.
Mhm.
Right. Some families, you know that when you're from the Philippines, a lot of people go OFW and they have families and kids. It's the same concept.
Mhm.
What are you willing to sacrifice? Is the sacrifice worth it? If you don't have any goal, it's not really worth doing anything. So, but if you have a goal, sometimes sacrifices work. I
Mhm.
initially started actually travel nursing because of my son, but he was young, so I would take him wherever I go. The strategy I did there was because he was still not in school, I would take him to daycare and we would stay in one metro area for 1 year instead of me working for just one contract and then sign again. So I go to metropolitan areas where if I finish one contract in this area, I know I can jump to another one, another hospital. So we're talking about 7 to 15 hospital choices for me. Okay, so my continuity in that area will be good. So I jump in when school starts when he's younger. But when he gets older, like he started to have friends and he can start remembering things, then we will have to sit wait. So that's when I started doing local travel nurses when he was 8 years old, 9 years old, because it's very important for him to really um, stay put when he starts relationship with other people. But actually, we thought this was hard. But
Mhm.
my son now, he's 14 years old. He's very, very versatile. He's very he's well in adapting to new environment. He was able to build his confidence talking to people, and everybody
Mhm.
thought, oh, it's a bad thing, you're moving around your kid. Actually, he just applied for high school and he got honors and scholarship. I'm not saying that the travel nursing did not affect that at all. It did, because he was able to be able to adjust right away. Like how I do as a travel nurse, I will have to adjust to a new place quick, and
Right.
that helped me grow. And it's the same thing with him. And he still remember all his friends. With the technology right now, he can connect
Mhm.
with different people. Even if his friends in New Jersey, in Boston, he's still connecting with them. But when they started to really be focused in school, like high school, like that, later in middle school, that's something that you want to consider, like doing local in a big map.
Mhm.
It's doable, very doable.
Right. I feel like I've heard these stories among military kids too. So, but I think let's look at the positive side of what happened, because it developed your son's, confidence to talk to people, and that might be a skill that they don't learn in school or in the house. That might be something that they would actually need in the future, right? As they move into their professional careers, or eventually business like mommy, right?
Mm-hmm.
That might be very helpful because those things you don't learn in school. But with
Yeah.
flexibility and being able to adapt in an environment quickly, that's something you just don't learn overnight. But that's a good thing for your son. And congratulations to his
William.
being an honor student.
Yep.
Oh,
America
that's
is
a
very
puppy.
competitive because there's a lot of smart kids here too.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he's going to law, he said.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
we have when he becomes a lawyer, I'm gonna get him for for social media protection. I was kidding.
Yeah.
Oh,
Definitely.
It's becoming
trend
wild right
now.
now, social media, because there's always two sides of the story, and the people from the other side could misconstrue you and
Yeah.
interpret your comment in a separate way and whatever. Okay,
Yeah.
it's
Oh,
just
can I add, yeah, can I add one more thing before I forget?
yes, of course,
For people who's moving around here in the US, when you are trying to see which place is good to go, sometimes it's helpful to be a travel nurse to try in one location first.
Correct.
actually,
And then you
Mm-hmm.
talk around the locals. Where is the good place to live? Where's the cheap
yes,
place to live? So I did this when I was in Massachusetts. I started talking to local. And they know where you should be going for schools, where you should be living, where's the best place to raise a family. So travel nursing can be a very good trial to
yeah.
see if
Mm-hmm.
this place is good for you and to get some local feel
Before
of
you
it.
buy a
Yeah.
house. Mm.
Actually,
Yeah,
that's what I
yeah,
did back in
yeah, yeah,
2021. I
yeah,
wanted to move to Chicago. Chicago is really one of those places that I like. I know there's a lot of crime rates there, and we see that a lot in the news. But hello, New York. Hello, Houston. Hello, San Francisco. It
Yes,
comes with the
everywhere.
territory. But I really love Chicago because I love skylines and parks and stuff like that. But they have rivers and lakes. So I really wanted to do that. So I moved there for 3 months to do a travel contract. And I love Chicago. Like every time I'm off, I'm like by the lake or something, and my manager would be like, "Can you come in for extra today?" And I'd send them a selfie of me by the river doing what's this, kayaking or something like that. I really loved it. Um, but I realized it wasn't for me because I
You hate
went there
snow.
July and it was September. All right, it was a very short summer because September it started dropping down to 55 to 60. I was like, it's only September. In Texas, we don't feel the cold till like November. I was like, I'm sorry, I'm out of here. Like I can't do this. It's too cold for me. But summer was beautiful. So I realized that Kay is right. Try out a city wherever you're targeting by doing travel nursing first, because then you can learn more about the locality, the salary ranges, how happy people are with the work, with the environment, commute, schools. If you have kids, very important to consider those things. And I've heard that from one of the travel nurse friend that I had. So I said, "Oh, I want to move to Dallas," and he said, "Well, don't tell your recruiter that you're moving. Tell them that you want to travel nurse there so they can pay for your
Mm-hmm.
house and try out the schools first." And then
yeah.
I ended up moving to Houston because Houston has a better rate than Dallas back
Mm-hmm.
then. So something like that. But how about Anna? Tell us your story about moving around with family and doing travel nursing.
So when I started traveling, my daughter was 9 year old, but I stay locally in New York. I met as adventurous of play because I always want to start nice and slow. And then I started locally, but as you know, when we arrive here, we have no family, we have no friends, relatives. It's only the three of us. But like Taiwan said, it helped our kids to be open-minded. Even if I stay locally, the contract always varies. It's always changed. And my daughter, Mom, I heard a lot of hospital from you. So now she's very into it. That's why I made her come to my AORN convention last week in San Antonio. She learned a lot. She learned about being flexible and to learn in a fast way. So and then after 2 years, my husband joined to be a traveler. So he was like, "Hey, you're making all this money." I was telling him during COVID, like, he was got burned out with all the patients in the
Right.
med first ICU. He was like, I was working too old, I'm not ready. And then later on, he became a traveler. Now he loves it more than I do. So it helps. It helps our schedule better. Because of the 2 week or 1 month of vacation, we're not paying a lot now with our
Right.
babysitter. And now my daughter is 12-year-old, and my daughter, Mom, when are you gonna travel out of New York? I said, I'm just waiting for you to be in college, so me and your father will go to Alaska or Hawaii.
Oh
And
my
you
God,
know what? My
Alaska.
daughter said, come, I'll stay with you guys. So travel nursing will help our clients, your clients, to
Right.
be more flexible, be open-minded, and to
Right.
learn fast. And with the amount of money that we earn from it, we're able to send her to private school, learn taekwondo, swimming, piano lesson, the things I never had when I was a child. I
Right.
was telling, remember last week when we were in San Antonio, I have never been to any museum when I was a child. Now that I'm a mom and we're able to pay for it,
Yeah.
because of travel nursing.
Right.
So those are my experience as a travel nurse with a family. It's doable.
Very, very financially liberating, huh?
Yes,
How about
very.
how about Nurse Juan? Since you said you just started jumping to travel nursing, talk to us about your feeling with moving from full time to travel nursing. How was it
Mhm.
during the first few times that you were looking for a job and finally getting the job? Like moving
Okay.
around and
Uh,
something
for,
like that.
yeah, for my first assignment, I specifically chose a hospital that has a similar, what do you call this, EHR style. So I won't
Right.
really have a
Mhm.
hard time. So
Right. Right.
fortunate enough, it was like almost like similar program. So on I only had 1 day orientation. Then the next
Right.
day I was on my own. So thankfully that is the same system. If it's not, then I might have had more issues with that.
Right.
It was easy for me transition wise because in my first hospital, our typical ratio is like 7 to 10 patients on my first hospital.
That,
On
that's a
the
lot.
first travel, yeah, on the first travel hospital, the typical ratio was 4 to 5. So it was like a big jump. So it was super easy. So I was really thankful for finding that
Yeah.
facility. And the pay was great. The people were great. Um, I think they were more concise with how they work and more organized when it comes to management style for that hospital. So I really like working that place. Um, Also, it was hard for some parts. The main issue for travel nurses is nursing is the same, but you just have to learn how they run things and where things
Right.
are. So
Yeah.
number one problem is where things are. So that's the main issues:
Mhm.
finding
Right.
supplies, finding where things are,
Oh my
uh,
God, supplies.
protocol number. So those are the worst thing for travel nurse. But it only takes like a week or two for you to be familiar with everything. Then it will be like a piece of cake. Like it's just like your home again.
Mhm.
Right. We should standardize the 1 day orientation because I got 4 hours and I mean,
Uh-huh.
I'm fine. Like you said, nursing is the same, right? I do the
Uh-huh.
same thing. But when you're thrown into a new facility where you don't have badge access in the first 2 weeks, no
Oh yeah.
business access,
Mhm.
Pixies.
and the supplies, oh my God. Like one hospital that I worked at has 3 or 4 different supply room. I was like, why do y'all have to like separate all the supplies? Imagine running around in the ER just looking for pure wig
Mhm.
or the the dry pads
Alcohol
or dry
swab.
bleeds, alcohol swabs. Oh my goodness. And then I would take my supplies and like have my own stash, right? But the low infection control and sees them, they're like, why do you have your own stash there? Because I
Yeah.
need to be efficient. I'm a near nurse. I cannot be running around and decrease my bedside hours. But some things like that. But you're right. It's the same nursing. It's just different cultures, different adjustment. Because sometimes there are people that don't like travel nurses. There are people that like travel nurses. Something like that. And some places are friendly, some places are not friendly. So very important things to note. And let's handle some questions today. We have a lot of questions here, and I love that it's very interactive. This is Marvin, by the way. I invited him when he's working.
Hi,
Marvin, I don't know if I
Marvin.
should show this. Your
Good
manager might
morning,
see it.
Marvin.
Thank you for watching us from Stanford. Our nurses, our Filipino nurses are really, really, the top 20 hospitals. We have a lot of immigrant nurses there from
Mhm.
all over the United States. And I have a question here, and this is from a good friend. Where's Kim? Here. So it said, how do you apply for a house mortgage as a travel nurse if you didn't have steady employment? I don't know what's the answer. I
Hey,
have my experience. I
hey.
can share it too. But Kay,
Yeah, so when you're a travel nurse, usually the mortgage company will ask for your IRS transcript. That will be your 2 to 3 years of past so they will not, if you don't have like every single month, that's totally fine because they will have to look at your full length of your history of payment. You have a good credit score. One problem that a lot of travel nurses really get into is because when mortgage companies look at their paycheck, the most of travel nurses will try to get the lowest hourly rate, so the
yeah,
stipends will be very high. If
right.
you are
Mhm.
planning to buy a house in the next, I would say, 3 months.
Increase your hourly.
Exactly. Negotiate your company to give you the highest hourly that you can actually be approved for that certain loan. You can have $20 per hour, sure, if you're gonna buy a $200,000 house. But if you're buying a 600,000 house, that's
Yeah,
not
Mhm.
gonna work. So you might want to go beyond that $20 per hour. So you just have to negotiate with your recruiter. And buying a house is not like, hey, I'm gonna buy a house tomorrow like that. It comes with a
Mhm.
good planning, at least a year planning. So we make sure when you plan to buy a house, boost your income for the next two years,
right,
and make sure when you start pre-approval, you have at least 2 to 3 paychecks that will see a high amount of salary in relation to the loan that you're borrowing. Okay,
right,
if however your salary is low hourly rate, but you have a lot of down payment, that can work as well. It's
right.
not really on the price of the house, it's the amount of loan that you're going to take out,
Yep.
and, and
The
your credit
monthly
score.
payment. Yep.
Yeah.
Want to jump in, Anna? Share a story?
Oh yeah, I read what pay bill, you have to make a plan. It's not like, oh, I have the money, I just want to buy a house. So
Right,
that's what. At first, it was hard. I was asking, hey, how can you prove that you have this spend money that you can afford to buy a house? I know we're getting 8 hour weekly pay, which is Friday, but the bank will look for one time when the first time I applied for a mortgage company said, do you have a steady income? And I was like, what do you mean steady income? Because not a lot of mortgage company knows about travel nursing.
right,
So
right,
the way they see us is you're contractual. So if you're not working, you have no money, you have no salary. But
right,
like what Tay said, you have to ask for the IRS transcript and really free money for 2 years for that. And paying or the offering or down payment
right.
more than 20% will help you a lot too.
Yep. And it's also dependent on your mortgage originator, like who's gonna
Correct.
approve your
Mm-hmm.
mortgage company. So I bought my house in 2021, and back in 2020, I only worked total of 10 months. And back in 2021, I've only worked total of 8.5 months. 2022, 6 months. 2023, I haven't worked bedside. So it's decreasing by the minute. No, but when I looked for my mortgage originator or lender, the first thing that I did is went to the travel group and said, what mortgage companies did you guys work with? Right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Crowdsourcing. This is 2023. Everything's online, right? So
Use the
uh,
search bar.
yeah, I used the
Yeah.
search bar. I did use the search bar first, and then I put following on
Not
on the comment.
following.
Oh, this is in another group, so it's not. It's allowed to put following. I'm just kidding. Anyway, so what's this? So I found mortgage lenders and I talked to them. They work well with travel nursing because travel nurses, because they've already had travel nurses that got approved in the past, so they can actually write a letter to the underwriter to defend your case. So find someone that will work with you. But I know a lot of them want stability, which means they want to see that you're working constantly, because their main their main concern is, are you going to be able to pay the mortgage round year,
Mhm.
right? And then, of course, it all boils down still to debt to income ratio. What my
Mhm.
mortgage lender did was take 2 years of my IRS last 2 years plus my current contract, and they averaged my salary for the last 2 years. Average. We're talking about gross income. Stipends do not reflect in your tax returns. So that's what Kay is saying. If you're getting paid 20 an hour and the rest are stipends, so you're like, whoo, I got $3,000 stipends and $2,000 a week. I'm not paying taxes. Yes, but eventually, when you need your financials set up for
Mhm.
mortgage, they're only gonna see 20 an hour, which is 40,000 a year, which is not gonna afford you probably $150,000 house, right? Because they want to see debt to income ratio. That includes your car amount or school loans if you have that, credit card payments, and every other loans that you're paying monthly. So when they did that for me, they found out that my debt to income ratio was 6%. And let me tell you this, they want 30 to 40% debt to income ratio, which means this is your monthly income. 40% should be being used to pay for loans. They saw mine 6%, and three mortgage lenders started fighting for me, right? It worked to my advantage because I'm a good negotiator. So I talked to one first, asked for her quotation, all right, and bring that quotation to the other lender. And she tried to beat that quote. She gave me the quote as well, and I tried to have it beat by the third lender. And then it all boiled down to two. My builder's lender and my own lender. Both of them approved me. The other one approved me for 600,000. The other one approved me for 450 because I only asked for 450. The house is 450. Plus, I only asked for 450 specifically because the house was being sold for 470. I told the
Mhm.
builder I only have budget for 450 because if they see that you got approved for 600, they're gonna max it up, right? Because they're like, you're
True.
approved for 600. Well, let's sell the house
Yeah.
for 500. So anyway, to cut it short, I negotiated. I got concessions. I got concessions for $10,000 because I went eventually with the builder because they brought down the rate, the mortgage rate, or the APR. I got concessions, and then they lowered down the house price still because it's from the builder. So I negotiated well, and this is the good part. My agent, I didn't need an agent at that point because what's this? I already know how to negotiate. I bought a house prior. Um, and so I know how to negotiate. So I told my agent, okay, you're gonna be my agent to like transact whatever paperwork's needed, but I would get 50% of your commission to myself as a concession too. So all in all, I got $20,000 concession, lowered down my house price to 440. Should I say that? I shouldn't say it, but I lowered down the house price from listing amount to almost $30,000, and they approved me no problem, because my debt to income ratio was 6%, even though I wasn't working the whole year. So it's doable. Find mortgage lenders that will work with you. Be upfront and say, I'm a travel nurse. I haven't worked the whole year, but this is my income. If you think you can work with me and get me to the approval, I'll work with you. But if not, I'll move on to the next. All right. Because I mean, they mean business here. They don't want to waste their time too. So you don't have to like go beat around the bush and you're like, do you think I'm gonna get approved? No, say right away, I'm a travel nurse. I don't work the whole year. I pay for my own vacation. I pay for my own benefits. But here's my income for the whole year. It's still beating most of the nurses, right? They just
Mhm.
want the stability. But then again, um, I also showed, like Kay said this before. She showed her portfolio, right? So I that was my backup. All right. So one of the lenders I talked to, they're like, I don't think I can work with travel nurses. So I opened my investment accounts, and they're like, oh yes, we can work with you. That's my backup. But the other lenders already approved me without me having to show that. Because they're like, oh, okay, so you have something to back that up, your house, something like that. But that's why very important to set your financial goals. When you do travel nursing, yes, you have financial goals for the short term, but what about the midterm and long term for your fire, and also for your mortgage? But that's going to be for another topic. And Kay, I think one of the recruiters here said that's also, she agrees with you that the first question is, what's your main goal, right? That way, they know what the travel nurses are there for. Is it for money? Is it for debts, savings, or something like that? And one of your fans, Jolly, she's already here in the US. She's your
Oh, hi,
avid
Jolly.
follower. Hello, Jolly. Thank you for following us today. And
I wish I wish everyone who's commenting right now can come here to the
Mhm.
US with us and work with us.
Mhm.
Yeah.
right. And how about this? Any way to switch to 1099? W2. W2 is full-time job. 1099 is independent contractor. This is doable or not?
Hey.
Doable. Yes.
Doable. Yeah,
Hi,
depending
Harriet.
on
Good
our
morning.
negotiator contract.
Um, yeah, so I am a 1099 in some of my cases. So before I decide if I'm gonna be 1099 or W2, is I'm gonna look at what numbers are we talking about here. So during the pandemic, where people are jumping into travel nursing, which pays like $10,000, right? You're working like 72 hours, 60 hours. So you're talking about so much overtime that is accounted for it. You're gonna have to see how's your stipend broken down. If your stipend accounts for about more than 50% of your income, which a lot of traveling techs do, I would tell them stick with W2. Okay? Because 1099 you have to itemize everything. Again,
Right.
if you have stipends that will account about close to 50%, 40 to 50% of your income, stick with W2. Now, if you really want to switch to 1099, because you're local, which means your taxable income is very high, or you're doing a lot of overtime, your stipends will only account about 10% of your income, right? So yeah, ideally it's good to do 1099. But if the agency doesn't do that, first talk with the agency. Probably it's the recruiter. Recruiter has no idea what he's talking about majority of the
Right.
time. Again, do not, if you want to do 1099, do not talk directly with a recruiter. You will have to talk to the administrator of that company, executives. Talk to the director of recruitment or somebody higher in the administration.
Right.
Majority of them, they know what subcontracting means because a lot of them, they also subcontract.
Right.
Mhm.
The only agencies that will not consider you as 1099 are big agencies like corporate, let's say, AMN, big companies like that, AYA, unless you want to talk to the director, correct? So majority of these big healthcare staffing companies, they don't entertain 1099 because they have like system already. But if you create your business and you're gonna go with them as a subcontractor, you can talk to the administration. Hey, I have a business called this staffing. I'd like to subcontract your contracts. And most of the time they will allow it. But you have to go to the higher. Don't talk to recruiters. They don't know what they're doing majority of the time, especially with 1099. I do have respect with my recruiters, but unfortunately they're limited with that knowledge how to be subcontracting because they were hired to sell the job. They were not hired to sell the business.
Right. Right.
Okay, so that's two different things. So always talk with the higher administrator of that company if you want to do 1099, or small companies like for me, operating room nurse, I would go directly to surgical center owners and I would say, hey, I would like to do a 1099 under my own company. And definitely, because they will take you off from they don't have to pay FICA. You have to pay your own health insurance. You have to
Right.
get your own
Self-employed.
business malpractice. So it's really a good thing for them.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but just there's tax implications too. So just make sure that you're on top of it because you don't want to be surprised with a bill towards the end of the year and the taxman says, you owe us 30,000. Something like that. But yes, it has its own advantage. So try to talk to administrators to get that 1099 contract. And our next point to talk about today is, how do we start with travel nursing? Nurse Juan.
Oh, okay. There's a lot of different travel agency companies out there, like Aya, Tras, AMN. I forgot what you guys are under. These three are under the same company, I think.
We're not endorsing
Mhm.
any agencies, but
Oh,
there's
okay.
a
All
lot.
right. Okay.
Kay is
So,
already starting to write notes. I'm gonna say something about that in a bit.
Oh,
He
sorry. Yeah,
hasn't
I don't
started with
endorse
many
anybody.
agencies.
I never worked with that agency that I mentioned, by the way. Just a heads up. Any agency that I mentioned, I did not work with them
Right. Okay.
for,
Good. Good.
for a reason. Yeah.
Okay, so the first thing you have to do is just go to these websites for those companies and just try to search a job. See if there's like a hospital and with the offer that you like. And if you do, search more on it. Check if those have like a specific EHR or any descriptions that would be favorable for you.
Right.
And like I think what Kay said before, apply to maybe 3 to 5 different travel nursing agencies. You should do
Mm-hmm.
that. Like just submit, and to open up more options for you and see and compare the prices. That's one of the most important thing. Um, what else? Then, if you do find a place that you really want to work and you don't want to start with a specific company and just like apply for it, they will give you a specific recruiter. Then the recruiter will try to send your resume to that hospital. And once the hospital agrees with the contract or the things that you place in your contract, then you can start within like 2 to 3 weeks. Normally, it's like a time frame. That's when you start. So yeah, as easy as that.
Right.
Mm.
Miss
I
Kay.
I have 40 agencies that I have profile
That's it.
with.
40. Woo.
40,
Probably have
yeah. I
10.
see the money there. I can see easily. Yeah.
They're still calling me right now. Do you want to go on a travel contract? I was like, sure. Can you bid my business earnings? I was kidding.
It's very
No,
important. It's very competitive right now, and
very
everybody should
Mm-hmm.
be having more
right.
than one. Yeah, a lot of people have challenges right now. Look, the market is not the same as 2020, 21, 22.
Yeah, not as good.
Everybody knows majority of hospitals are going to foreign nurses.
Yes.
Okay, and they're giving a lot of perks now to staff,
Yeah.
which is
They do.
Yeah, actually, for retention, they have to start really spending, investing for retention. Otherwise, everybody's just gonna be travel nursing to the next hospital beside them, right? So it doesn't make sense
yeah,
for the hospital to do that.
yeah.
Miss Anna, how do we start with travel nursing?
Well, like I always said, just like looking for your agency plan for US, shop around, do a lot of research. I mean, join all of these different Facebook groups. That's where I met Faye because, looking for an agency that you want to work with, it's like buying a cell phone. You want to know the features, you want to know how to use it. I mean, money is there, money is big, but do not be hype about it. Because
Right.
there are some Filipino nurses who will send me messages, Mom, how to be a travel nursing? And whenever I lay down my personal steps, they will be like, I got so many times. I just want to work and get the money. No, it doesn't work that way. Being a travel nurse is a blessing and a curse. You have
Right.
to do your homework. You should always have a backup plan. And I discourage those newly arrived Filipino nurses to
Yes.
jump into travel nursing. No, Ma'am Anna, I'm just gonna do travel nursing and I'm gonna buy out. And later on, they got burned. Oh no, Ma'am, I cannot keep up with the one-way orientation. That's what I'm telling you. The
Right.
money will be there for the first few months or a year. Invest in yourself,
Yes.
make sure you have ACLS, BLS, you are selling
Emergency
yourself.
funds.
Yes, you're selling yourself to this recruiter and hospital. Do not just be satisfied with, oh, at least I'm getting paid every weekly. No, you can get more if you will educate yourself before you jump into something else.
Right.
Because everyone is so hyped. I'm gonna sign the contract. I'm gonna work in the
I
hospital.
think
It's only
I think we're responsible for that hype in the immigrant community
I
too.
know, but we did our homework, right? I mean, it's not like what I said. It's like buying a cell phone or saying yes to your boyfriend or husband. It will
Right.
either make you or break you. So
Right.
I always say this. I do a lot of research. I read a lot of blog, watch YouTube. That's where I met Hey. And then later on, I asked her help. Hey, can you help me with this? Because there's only a certain point that I know about. And I have over 17 years of experience. Ask for help and do a lot of research. That will save you. Those many steps will save you. Do not be like, oh, all is struggling, earning a lot. Okay, I'll nurse one. I'm gonna do it. Meanwhile, you just got here a week ago. You don't even have a social your number and you
Right.
wanna go
Well,
traveling. So that's what I did. And like Nurse Juan said, I signed up with this agency, do a lot of profiles, and I negotiate. Like I work with medical solution. You're only giving me 90 per hour. Meanwhile, this company is giving me 100. So and the medical solution, okay, I'm gonna make it 110. Okay, whatever it works for me. And show me
Right.
the money.
Right. And just just be mindful that for new immigrant nurses, I would advise stability first for the first two
Mm-hmm.
years, 3 years. I didn't jump right away, even though
Me
there
too.
was an offer to me on my first
Mm-hmm.
1 or 2 years here because of stability issues. I have to be grounded first in the sense that I would need an emergency fund, medical benefits
Mm-hmm.
if something were to happen, something like that, life insurance if something were to happen. Because with travel nursing, yes, they can sign you up for an 8 week contract, but guess what? On your third day, they're like, "Oh, we hired a new staff member to fill your spot, so bye." Right? So now, and I've heard these horror stories where baby nurses jumped into travel nursing 6 months into their fresh out of nursing school, right? And here they go in the travel nursing group. They're like, the hospital canceled my contract. Is this legal? Well, the
Mm-hmm.
answer is it is legal. Now, how about my hotels or rentals? Or I don't have a job for the next month because I still have to look for a job as a travel nurse. Well, that's the caveat of travel nursing because if they cancel your contract, you should have a backup plan and emergency funds for that. So I don't
Mm-hmm.
think this works well for new immigrant
Newly
nurses
arrive. Mm-hmm.
because it's not very stable financially, yes, but if you're looking for stability where you wake up tomorrow you still have a job,
Mm-hmm.
um that's not the way to go for immigrant nurses at the moment. So don't be hyped too much where it's your first day and you tell your agency, you know what, I'm gonna quit you, I'm gonna go travel nursing.
I'm gonna
Well,
buy out you.
good luck if they give you 1 day orientation. I've heard nurses that were I mean, I did that myself. 4 hours. They told me you only are given 4 hours. On the third hour, I couldn't
Hours.
find my preceptor. I was like, "Where's my preceptor?" I couldn't even find the supplies, and there's a trauma patient coming in, and she showed up after 6 hours. I was like, "What? Where the hell were you?" And she's like, "Oh, I
Coffee
thought you
break.
could handle yourself." I was like, "I could, but I don't know where the trauma supplies are." Like, I couldn't see the Plurivac or where do I get those stuff, but something like that. So
the passcode,
orientation is
like what
very,
I said.
yeah,
My,
very,
my
very important.
husband.
Yeah.
Yeah. You.
And Ryan said, like the passcodes, you have to memorize all of them. I write them behind my badge. Like, what's the code again? Because there's codes, right? If you can't badge in. Um, but and also very important to know the charting system, right? So I always ask,
Mm-hmm.
is this Cerner? Is this
Mm-hmm.
what's the other one? Epic or
Medtech.
Meditech? If it's a Meditech, it's the lowest priority for me because I feel like I'm playing
I
around with
love it. I love Medtech.
MS DOS.
Highest.
I feel like one,
Highest.
enter two, enter three, enter four, enter one, enter
Oh,
zero, zero, enter.
At
that's the
12.
old version. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the old
It's
version.
super fast though, but the user interface, I'm a very techie person. It bores me. I feel like I'm back into the MS DOS here when I was in my grade school and I was first introduced to the computer. That was it. But
Yeah.
Oh,
anyway, Miss Kay,
and
anything to add?
the reason
Oh yes.
for the difference for healthcare
Yeah,
Philippines versus US setting.
that's
So
the
if
truth. Yeah.
you're new here, there's a lot of difference. So you need to
Mm-hmm.
be like well versed with how they're doing things here
Yes,
versus how they're doing things back in the Philippines or other countries. There's a
it's
big difference.
American standard because
Mhm.
like I teach NCLEX now and I have students from 14 nationalities. I'm beginning to learn the difference. Like they say, oh, this is how we do it in our ACLS, and then I open up the ACLS manual for them. It's not there. That's not how we do it here. I'm telling you how we do it here because that's the American guidelines. And at the end of the day, even as if you have 20 years experience, say for example in Dubai or in UK or in Germany, if that's a different guideline than the States, it puts you
Mm-hmm.
at risk for liabilities, for legal
Exactly.
liabilities, right?
Mm-hmm.
Something like that. Miss Kay, anything to add?
Yeah, since you mentioned liability, I always recommend travel nurses to get their own
Malpractice.
malpractice insurance. A lot of
Mm-hmm.
people say, "Oh, you're covered
Yeah,
by the
true.
hospital,"
It's only
right?
Mm-hmm.
$110, people, a
Yeah,
year.
you're covered by the hospital. You're covered by the hospital when you are there, but
Yep.
majority of the lawsuits are filed after you're there. You're not
Yep.
covered
Mm-hmm.
anymore.
Like three,
It's
5 years later.
And you're not covered by the hospital anymore. This is I always tell, oh, I've been covered. That's the old mentality. As a staff nurse, you're working there, you're covered there. But again, if you leave as a traveling nurse, there's a thing called trailing
Right.
coverage, which a lot of the
Mm-hmm.
hospital doesn't have. It doesn't cover you, so you want to get your own. A lot of people will recommend online that, oh, you don't need that, you don't need that. The more they will do it, no, you will need it. I always say Rodon Devot. If you don't know that case, just look
Mhm.
it up. The Vanderbilt nurse. I don't
Yep.
think she will go into that criminal case anymore
Yep.
if she had representation that works on her best
Exactly.
interest.
Actually,
At
Mm-hmm.
the
that could have been
beginning, she would
prevented.
yeah, it could have been prevented to go to that if she only had a representation that really worked on her best interest.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I always recommend you. Hospitals are there, but shit comes happen, and
Always.
you're by yourself. You always
Right.
have to protect yourself
Mhm.
on those things. And also, when you travel, I just want to make sure and clarify this. When I did travel nursing, I mentioned to you guys I did it after 1 year. I don't recommend it now. The difference right now and when I started is travel nurses were oriented 2 weeks.
Oh,
That's the big
sweet.
difference.
Wow.
2
Spoiled.
weeks. We were oriented 1 week for corporate and classroom, 2 days classroom, and then the other 3 days were one day will be unit, and then the other 2 days were corporate. So they
Mhm.
were incorporating us with everybody who's orienting in the hospital. So that's the big difference there. I want you to keep that in mind. We were given 1 week for the corporate and classroom, and then the 1 week was preceptorship. So by the third week, that's the only time we were by ourselves. Now
Right.
is not. So now
No.
you are jumping in there on your third day by yourself. So
Mm-hmm.
it's a big difference when you don't know the system in the United States. You cannot and you should never use the saying, "This is what we do," somewhere else. You are just putting
Exactly.
yourself
That's
in
how we're
trouble. You
interpreted.
never ever ever say that this was what I have done before. No, there's a policy and procedure that they make you go over before you start. Make sure you get paid too by that. Okay, you're paid.
Mm-hmm.
Online orientation modules are always paid before starting. So you make sure you go over that. Read the policy and procedure. When you get to the facility, this very short time to absorb everything. The first thing you really should know is where emergency stuff is.
Mm-hmm.
Where's the code card? Because when crisis happens, you have to quick. Where's the fire extinguisher? Where's the code card? What are the numbers for emergency? How can I page overhead if I need help?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, those are the emergent things that you really need equipped. Forget about your ball pen. You can find pen everywhere. Okay,
Right.
so again, always put other yourself on other people's shoe. If this was your mother or your parent or your loved one, do you
Right.
want to be taken care of that person who's not competent, or you want to have
Mm-hmm.
somebody who's taking care of them that is competent? So you always have
Right.
to make sure you put yourself on their shoes. Okay, it's not
Right.
about
So,
money; it's about
as
people's life.
exactly. As a travel nurse, they expect you to hit the ground running on day one.
Yep.
So that's very
Mm-hmm.
well inculcated into my mind when I went into travel nursing, particularly with ER. I've worked with certain travel nurses that have honestly asked myself, are these really experienced nurses? Because we would be getting strokes all the time and STEMIs, these patients should be run to CT scan or and my basic competencies that I would have expected from a 1 year, 2 year ER nurse that's been practicing continuously here in the States. And ER is crazy, sometimes you have help, most of the time you don't. You're by yourself and the patient. So Kay is right. Imagine this is your mother and you get a travel nurse that's only been oriented for a day and they lied about their experience. Because,
Mm-hmm.
people do that all the time here because they follow the
Florida.
money. Yep, right. So just be the fake BSN degrees, huh?
Mhm.
But just be careful. Be mindful of your own practice. Everybody would say, "Don't worry, you're covered by the insurance of this agency or your employer." But at the end of the day, guys, when the court calls you because you were assigned to the patient or you were part of the healthcare team that signed up for the patient, charted for the patient, you will represent yourself. You will have to be represented by your own lawyer. The hospital will not protect you, that can jeopardize them. They're gonna say, "Oh, our nurse is right. Our policy was incorrect." No, they're gonna say,
Never.
"Our policy is correct. The nurse is wrong." All right. So whether,
Always.
yeah, because
Mm-hmm.
why would they jeopardize their $1 million business over you, a nurse that they can just let go and find someone else? Protect your license as though it is your lifeline, as though it is your business. Because at the end of the day, you lose that license, you lose your all your ability and
To work.
privileges to practice as a nurse, whether it is at the bedside or something administrative or education or something like that. You lose everything that you worked hard for. So protect yourself. And that's what leads me to the next topic. We're a little over time, but we're gonna go forward.
Oh,
Um, yes. And what do you think are the disadvantages with travel nursing? And this is not to discourage people. This is
mm-hmm.
to just make them aware, being people that already traveled, that they should be aware of and prepare themselves. Because like Anna keeps saying, it's like um, checking a new feature of a phone, right? Like, is this
Mm-hmm.
something that works for you or not? Because at the end of the day, personal situations are important. Like, for example,
Mm-hmm.
with me, it was easier to travel because I was going to travel anyway. But for some people, they can't just do that, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
what are the things that they need to be cautious about?
I'll go
That
first. So as a travel nurse, you're not a full-time employee, right? You're a contractual. So you have no sick time, no work, no pay. You have no PTO. So when you call out, you're missing money. So first, make sure that you're gonna be healthy, So you're not gonna call out, or you always have a backup plan, like what you said, emergency fund. So if you're gonna be out of work, like 2 years ago, I got so sick, I was out of work for almost a few months. But if I was irresponsible, if I don't have any emergency fund, or if I don't have any short term or long term insurance, I will be in debt, But since I was responsible enough to save those money, it helped me. So as a traveler, no work, no pay, no sick time, no PTO. But aside from that, court, you can be cancelled anytime because you're contractual. You're not a permanent nurse. And those are the major things that I can tell in my part as a consequence of being a traveler.
How about Nurse One?
Okay. For me, there's always a term wherein they say like a hospital travel friendly hospital, and some hospitals are not. So,
True.
like for example, you will encounter sometimes some management or some charge nurses will give you the heavier cases, which is actually
Mm-hmm.
not fair, but it does happen. You
It
can
does.
hear a lot of horror stories from different like travel pages in Facebook. Um, sometimes we do experience that, but not as much. So it is a reality. So just be prepared for that, and you have to learn to like speak up and tell them that this is not safe, this is not fair. Especially if you see that the other members are like have like lesser patients than you, and you have more patients and more like a higher acuity of patients. So you do have to raise your voice and to fight for yourself for safety reasons.
Right.
Um, Another thing about for travel nurses, like what Anna said, you can be removed from just like a snap. If they think they don't need you anymore, they can take you off.
Mm-hmm.
But don't worry if you have a good working, what's this? Good work ethic, and you're like a being good employee. Example, they can extend you as much as you can.
Always
So
renew you. Yeah.
yeah. So like for me, if I didn't reach like a 1 year period, I could have stayed there, but I
Right.
just wanted to go somewhere else. So they can extend that.
Right. How about Miss
the-
K?
so travel nurse pay is really on a higher level because you have to understand that there's risk involved, and
Right.
like everybody said, the risk is the job security. There's no job security. If you are expecting to have a salary for the whole year, that is wrong. If you're expecting to have a salary for, for I would say 12 months, for 11 months, you're wrong. the way I always tell people is you always have to make sure you calculate your annual salary based from at least 10 months that
Right.
you won't have work for 2 months. And a lot of people that I see in travel nurse, like, oh my God, I have not worked for 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Who told you travel nurse have full year income? No, it's not. So you want to make sure if you're earning from one place, you're earning $100,000 for 52 weeks in a year. In travel nursing, you have to make sure that you compute that $100,000 divided by at least 44 weeks in a year. Okay, if you can get again $100,000 from full-time staff, that is working 52 weeks in a year. As a traveling nurse, you have to make sure you only compute that 100,000 divided by 40 or 44 weeks in a year. You give yourself allowance for concepts that are canceled, that you are giving yourself vacation, that you are buying yourself insurance because you don't have insurance. That is a good one for your company. When you get sick, do you have disability insurance? Do you have long-term
Mhm.
disability insurance? Okay, when you die, are you set up, for your dependents? You have term life insurances. I'm not an insurance salesperson, but I'm saying that this should be what you think.
Right.
Always protect yourself, protect your finances. And there's no job security and you're gonna jump in, you're gonna be paying 1 month of rent. What if you get canceled for a year, for in the
Mhm.
middle? What are you gonna do? I advise people, if you before you're jumping in, open a credit card. I'm not gonna be promoting any credit card in here or debt, but
Zero
I'm just
percent
saying,
for 12,
yeah, 0% for 18 months.
18
Okay,
months.
0% for 18 months.
I
If
have
you
referral codes message me.
just if you can, before jumping in travel nursing, 0% interest. So then next month you'll be able to get a job. You'll be able to catch up with that debt. Okay.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So you have 18 months. Don't give 18 months, but at least give yourself 6 months to
Right.
pay that back. So you're not gonna be in debt. There's no job security in travel nursing, but
Mhm.
the pay is higher because there's a reason for that.
Right.
And you have to make sure you approach travel nursing as a business, because
Mhm.
if you don't approach this a business, a lot of predatory practices in there that will happen. Number one, start with your recruiter. They're gonna lowball you. If you
Right.
don't know
Mhm.
how to
Yeah.
negotiate, they're gonna take advantage of that. So that's one cons. A lot of predatory practices in business, especially when recruitment happens. Second is the predatory practice at work. People will bully you because you're the paid higher
Highest
paid one.
paid.
You're gonna be like everybody said that. So
Rubs them the wrong way.
exactly. There will be mean people. If you're very softy, this might really hit you right
Mhm.
away. But always I tell people there are challenges will be there, and people will be sometimes mean of you because you can catch up to their pace. The cons is you need to put extra effort in learning everything in a
Right.
short time.
In a
And
very
that is,
short time.
yeah, it's a cons, but it's also a pro because then you will grow
Right.
faster.
Mhm.
Yeah. So cons. Other than that, those are the only cons that I do. Majority are pros. So, retirement
Right.
nurse.
Yay.
Majority of pros. That's true. So
Yeah.
there are caveats, but those caveats are easily what's this? Overshadowed by all the pros. But just
Yeah.
be mindful of who your recruiter is. Make sure you have good relationship with your recruiter, someone who can back you up. Document everything, not only in your chart, but all conversations with management, charge nurses. Put it in text messages and email. I think Kay highlighted this in the past, but I like that as well. Every time I talk to someone over the phone, or if I think I want document for this thing, I don't answer the phone. I
Me
text them,
too.
I'm sorry, I
Mhm.
didn't answer your phone. I was in the bathroom or something. I wasn't in the bathroom. I want you to text me because that's
Me
my
too.
proof of purchase or something, right? Documentation is everything. Why? Because people can say something about you, right? They can reinvent things, make rumors, or say something that you didn't say, or do something, or tell something that you didn't actually do. I want that documented. That way, when it comes to the time where they say something about you, I'll be like, hey, this is what we talked about, right? So
Mhm.
especially with scheduling and changes with shifts, because it happens all the time in the ER. So document everything. Conversations with managers best done in email. Schedule changes, email. Not call. Don't call them and say, hey, can I switch? Because guess what? After that phone call, they forget that, and you don't show up. You're a no-show. No-show can ground you for cancellation or put your cancellation, something like that. And of course, secure yourself. Kay is right. Approach it as a business. Your insurance is your own benefits,
Mm-hmm.
your own PTO. You're paying for your own PTO. There is no benefits. You cannot negotiate that with hospitals. Otherwise, they're going to tell you to go full staff. And number four is flexibility. I always tell myself when I work, I'm there to work, not to get involved. Even when I was in full time, not to get involved with the drama. Now, when you're full time in a hospital, right? When you're there for 3 years, my goodness, you know every story of every coworker, right? Everything, even
Marites.
if they're not on your same shift, if they're in the other team, because in the air we go by teams, right? Team A, team B, something like that.
Uh-huh.
They're from team B, but you know the story about this certain person. That's just how it is. With travel nursing, you don't have to deal with that. But don't get yourself too absorbed. You're not there full time. You're traveling. Some people can be so passionate and you get absorbed into the culture and then you forget that you're not from there and now you're involved in the drama. I always say I don't rock the boat too much, right? If I have issues, I talk to the management about the issues. I'm not gonna marites in Filipino, right? Rumor to my coworker, right? Hey,
Go
you
in
know
and
this
go out.
person. Yeah, like, oh, really? Yeah, like or sometimes it works to my advantage because I'm a Filipino, right? I just say, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't understand. What are you guys talking about?" But I could understand clearly. I'm just pretending that I'm minding my own business, because I'm not there for the drama. I'm here to work.
Exactly.
I'm paid 12 hours to work. So you guys can talk about anything, but I'm not gonna say my comments, say my piece, pick sides, right? Because I'm just a travel nurse, right? And of course, if there's some bully, what I do not let them ruin my day, right? I had a charge nurse before in my last job. Oh my God, guys. I'm being singled out than anyone else. And to put that theory into test, if she's really singling me out, because one time she gave me a patient stroke, she didn't give me the whole information, right? So we're supposed to do bedside, like, hey, Paul, I'm giving you this patient, blah, 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 because it's a stroke code, right? Nope. She put the patient in. She said, this is your patient, and left. So now the doctor started answering. I was opening the chart. The doctor was answering. So I phoned her. She's like, I already talked to the doctor. I was like, oh, okay, because I'm the primary nurse. I need to know it. So I guess she didn't like me, right? But to put this theory to test, I came back the next week and she put a patient in my room. I already did everything, but I didn't click the acknowledge button. I already have an IV. Blood was sent. I didn't acknowledge. I didn't scan some of them, like the labs in purpose to check if she's gonna like micromanage me, right? And there's another patient in another room for another nurse that was working much slower pace than me, and I'm pretty good with my nursing stuff, I would say. Um, and she was like, 5 minutes later, she was right behind me, and she's like, "Hey, did you do everything?" I was like, "Lab sent, patient medicated, vital signs charted. I finished my SBAR report. I'm done. Do you have issues?" But apparently, one Marites Filipino nurse told me, did you know that her ex-husband was a Filipino and he looks like you? I was like, oh,
Oh,
maybe
huh.
that's
Good looking.
transference. So I was like, that's why. But I don't get myself affected with that because at the end of the day, Nurse One is also true about that. Work ethics. You're there to work. If they see you're doing your job well, um, you're not affected by anything. In fact, your management will actually praise you, would actually
Yeah.
want to retain you.
Yeah.
Every workplace that I went to here in the United States, I've worked with more than a dozen hospital systems. They've always wanted to retain me because I'm there to work. Like I'm there. My mindset when I'm at work is I want to be best at my work. I don't want anything affecting me, work drama, bullying, culture differences. I'm here for my patients. Now, if that doesn't work for my other coworker, then that's her issue or his issue, not mine, because I'm here to work for my patients. And that's it. Let your good reputation follow you and approach it as a business, which means your name is also your reputation. You don't want them running the background check from your last job. Oh, this nurse quit on the third day. Uh-oh. So now you don't get that job next. But that's it. There's a lot of pros, but also be mindful. Write down your goals first before you go jump into travel nursing wagon. All right. Let's now go to your last words of advice to our fellow nurses watching us today. We still have a lot of following, considering that we've already been on for an hour and a half. Um, Miss Kay, I can see the tracker here, but we still have 110 viewers. Usually it drops out after an hour, so it looks like they like what we're talking about today. But Miss Kay, um,
Last words.
any words of advice?
Last words. If you have question, never assume. Okay, that's the one thing you will do when you're in travel nurse. Never ever assume that you know what you're doing. If you have question, always ask, because most likely you will miss the policy and procedure, their policy and procedure, and you will do something that will hurt your professional level. You applied for a job. Always ask during interview. And the reason why I say this, a lot of people are jumping in without asking, asking the manager, and then when they get in there, oh, I don't like this, I don't like that, and I'm going to quit your job, I'm going to quit this. So I'm not a proponent of cutting contracts midway, but I understand some people don't have stronger
Right.
threshold than me, but those thresholds could have been prevented if you only ask. So interview, always interview is a two-way thing. I have a question, you have a question. I
Right.
have turned down jobs because the interview did not go well. I do not need to accept jobs, every single job that come into my door. I'm very picky. And when you see that job has been posting job every 3 months, that's a problematic hospital.
Mhm.
So don't put an expectation as high as this, that hey, I'm gonna be travel nursing, it's my first job, that's awesome, who I'm gonna jump in, and I'm like, oh shoot, this is a not a very good setup. Well, that's the
Right.
reason why they need travel nurses, because
That's
nobody
the
wants
truth.
to stay there. You have to
Right.
keep that in mind. And I'm saying that too, not only to travel nurses, foreign nurses. Why are there a lot of job in here in the US? Don't put your expectation up so high like this.
Mhm.
They need
Right.
foreign nurses because there's no people staying there. Why
Right.
they need contractual nurses? The same thing. Nobody, no American would want to take that job. And don't put your high expectations, because if you do that, you're gonna get frustrated and you're gonna say, "Hey, I'm quitting this job in 1 week, 2 weeks." Okay, we're all professionals in here, and you have to approach travel nursing in a professional way too, not
Mhm.
just
Right.
like money for me. And they spend time interviewing you, you spend time going over there. It's a matter of giving respect to each other. A lot of hospitals hates travel nurses because some people, they go there and they cancel, and then they just show their attitude. You have to keep
Right.
in mind, we are all working in this together. If we screw up one travel nurse, we portray a very bad picture.
Bad. Yeah.
It's going to portray everybody's picture, which is
Mhm.
not correct. But again, you're not a reflection of other people. Do your best in there. Be as professional as you can be. If you have
Right.
problems, address it properly to the management. Okay, you're not there to fix their system.
Right.
Mhm.
Okay, do
It's not
not
your
come with
job.
that mindset that you will fix their problem. No, they
Right.
hired you to patch up the job while they try to figure
While
out
they
how to
fix the
fix their
problem.
problem. Yeah,
Yeah.
so never ever have that mindset you're gonna fix them. Okay,
It's gonna
don't put
frustrate you.
exactly. Yeah, so that's my
You
word.
do what romance do.
That's pretty good. How about Miss Anna, Nurse Anna?
um, Travel nursing. Well, before I just want to go to America, all Filipino. I just want to go to America and work. I don't know about travel nursing. I just want to become an immigrant. And then after being here for almost 4 years as a staff nurse, uh, I thought that's the end of nursing. You're gonna be a staff nurse, earning more than being a foreign contractual. And then the travel nursing open up. So what I'm trying to say is, for those Filipino nurses waiting to come here, there's more waiting for you. So
Right.
do not be discouraged with MDN, with retrogression. It's not even happening. There are a lot of things, great things waiting for you. Not just getting your visa, not just being an immigrant. Later on, you're going to be a travel nurse. It will help you more to achieve your goals with proper research, proper education. There's a lot of, because it doesn't come in front of you. You're gonna work hard for it.
Right.
Like learning the in and out, being prepared for the bad, always for the worst scenario in your life. But like me, it helped me a lot with my mom when she was still alive. I will not be able to afford the 1.5 million pesos back home when she had the cancer. But travel nursing gave her a better last day of her life because I was able to pay for personal caregiver nurse. I was able to bring her in a private hospital. So what I'm trying to say is, I always encourage Filipino nurses like to go get your American dream, with the help of Aspire with all, and then with the help of Kaye, and by watching, Nurse Juan
That's
blog, it will help you not just being a nurse, but how to achieve your goal. So
right.
those are my last words. I am happy. I am so grateful. I am so blessed that I have this travel money. All my bucket lists are halfway done, as
Right.
a mom, as a wife, as my daughter. I always tell my daughter, I never had all of this when I was at your age. And
Right.
I'm grateful because I'm in America and I'm a traveler. And now my husband loving traveling. He's been traveling for 2 years now. So those are my last words. Thank you all for always inviting us. Thank you
You're
for my
welcome.
vlog.
Oh, there you
Yeah.
go. Don't mess with Texas. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. How about Nurse Juan?
Okay. Travel nurse is like what Miss Anna said, it's both a curse and a blessing.
Mhm.
So, in order for it to be a blessing, you do have to do your diligence for that. You have to work in it,
Mhm.
research, and do a lot of things in order to get that favor on your side. For me, as a new travel nurse, try to expect the worst. Don't expect,
Mhm.
like, even if you're not a travel nurse or new immigrant in the US, don't expect like everything will be like Grey's Anatomy or all those TV shows and healthcare setting. They're
It
not.
is.
They're going to be,
I'm
yeah,
not dreaming on it.
Grey's Anatomy don't even have nurses. It's all
yeah,
doctors in the
no
middle.
Filipino
Yeah.
nurses, right? So that's not
Yeah.
true.
There's no
So
representation there.
yeah. So also, if you do want to start to be a travel nurse, try to get the setting that's similar from your first hospital. That will ease your transition. Even though it's not the highest paying job, at least it will give you a feel of
Yeah.
how
Get,
to
get
adjust.
yourself
Okay, so don't go for the money first. Okay,
right.
just try to be like accustomed to how things are.
I see.
One more thing is, I do still encourage you guys to have like get on board for the travel nurse if you're already equipped with the US standards or
Right.
like already
Mhm.
familiar how things are done. It is really a good thing. And like with Miss Anna, my wife is also a new travel nurse now, and she is liking it. So
Yeah.
she is really happy that she like boarded being a travel nurse. So yeah, so hopefully uh, those who are watching, you'll be on this road as well. Uh, so yeah, that's it.
That's it. And for me, travel nursing may not work for everyone, but sit down and check your goals. Why do you really want to do this? And try it. When I first started doing travel nursing, my only goal was to try it, just to see how it feels like, because I'm also a person where I want stability, but I also want to try something new, right?
Mhm.
And eventually 3 years later, I feel like that's the best decision that I did because of the flexibility. But check your goals. Like I said, some people have families, some people are on school. I was doing travel nursing, I was on school. But it is very important that you have goals financially and professionally, because without those goals, you don't have something to evaluate yourself if you're
Mhm.
advancing or not, whether it's a personal goal, a professional goal, or financial goal. And for me, I'm honestly going to be able to say that travel nursing put me forward in terms of my financial goals. Because, it brought me, like, I would say, 5 years ahead. Because, if I was
Mhm.
earning my full time job,
20
um,
years ahead. What
20
5
years,
years you're talking about? 20 years
I'm trying
ahead.
to be conservative. But imagine Anna and Nurse One. That's double travel nursing job salary every 2 weeks, right? I'm gonna babysit y'all's kids, all right? So,
I did not mention I was able to convince my husband actually at one point to do locum physician.
Mhm.
Locum
there you go.
locum locum
So
physician is
that's
like the traveling of
right.
doctors. So he did that for a year
And
and a half.
locums really
Yeah, and he
earn
said
good
this is
money.
Yeah, this is the
Right.
first time that I really got vacation and get to bring my
Right.
children to school. And
Mm-hmm.
this is,
Mhm.
it's a different feeling. But
Right.
now, but after that, he said, okay, let's settle down. Yeah, right.
Yeah. Because imagine working for 3 days, 36 hours, but earning twice or thrice more.
Yeah. Mhm.
That's very, I'd say, even if how stressful the job is, because like I said, with
All
my
worth it.
friends who were skeptic about trying travel nursing, I was like, think about this. You're going to get stressed at work anyway. So why don't you get paid more
Mhm.
having the same stress? Nursing is stressful. Whatever unit we're all like cats and dogs fighting in the hospital. But honestly, we're just all stressed with our own units, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
But imagine 36 hours of being stressed. But when that paycheck hits on Friday, you're like, whew,
Yay!
let me
Happy
go. Where
Friday.
where where do you want to have dinner tonight? You
Yeah,
want the best steak in town?
it's the instant reward that comes in every
Right,
week
right.
that makes it very enduring. That's what I'd
Mhm.
say.
Mhm.
Because if
Yes,
it's
yes.
every two
And
weeks,
then you
it's a
go
little bit
back to full
far.
time job. You're like, "Where's my weekly salary? Where's my paycheck weekly?"
I know.
and
No call, no weekend. I don't want to work calls
Right,
anymore.
and
I mean, once
as
in a
a like a
while.
reg and as a regular employee, and knowing that there's a travel nurse who doesn't do her job well, but gets to be paid twice as you,
right,
that really hurts my pride, like
right.
your own
That's
pride.
true.
It did hurt my pride. So
Right,
I will be honest. So if I would just say, like, if he or she can do it, I can do it. So
right.
Yep.
Exactly. Just be confident with your skills. If you're not confident yet, then build your skills, especially for a new migrant, and then eventually try travel nursing. And then of course, the travel nursing surge because of the pandemic started causing a stir. It kind of like started sending shockwaves to the whole healthcare industry. So overall, my 5 to 10 year vision for nursing is, you know, will be less reliant to travel nurses. I'm not saying I don't want you guys to travel nurse, but actually increase the retention and salary pay grade of nurses in the
Mhm.
States. That way, there's no disconnect between why would I stay as a staff versus travel nursing, or staff getting, you know, putting all the hate to travel nurses when we're just messengers, and don't shoot the messenger. I don't control
Yeah.
the healthcare industry. I'm following the economy. It's like, supply and demand. I'm just following the demand, right? But
Yeah.
very important that you guys know your goals, and that's, I mean, the main summary of everything. And thank you, Kay, Miss Anna, Nurse Juan, for everything. Thank you for sharing your thoughts, guys. You can follow Nurse Juan. He also shares a lot of his travel
Yeah.
nursing experiences and immigrant nursing experience in YouTube. Nurse Juan, you want to talk about it?
oh yes, I create content in order to help mostly new immigrants coming to the United States. I'm sorry. So
Very
yes,
good.
if you can watch some of them, I'm sure they can help you. And these are mainly based on my personal experience,
Mhm.
mostly struggles. Hope you guys can learn from that. And also shout out to all my subscribers and Team Valientes from Zamboanga City. Hi. So
Thank you,
Alvin
Nurse
Munoz.
Juan. Very good content, guys. Follow Nurse Juan. He shares a lot of experiences that
Mhm.
you would experience migrating here to the States and eventually growing in your career as an immigrant, internationally educated nurse. And of course, the travel nurse hacker, very popular in Facebook, sending shockwaves. No, I like Kay because he's an advocate of improvement in nursing overall, whether immigrant
Mhm.
or local nursing. And that's very important. We need more nurses with spirits like Juan and Kay and Anna that's really gonna stand up. If nobody would do it, then nothing will change. But thankfully,
Mhm.
we have these people that are ready to, put their faces out there and their names out there. And Travel Nurse Hacker is one of them. And you want to plug your page, Miss Travel Nurse Hacker.
Yeah, so everybody asks me what's travel nurse hacker, why hacker? Because in travel I promote here, this one is kind of bed talk. We do, I try to do as much as I can, okay, with my busy schedule. Bed talk is like TED talk, but just for bedside,
Right, right.
bedside RN. And
Very smart.
Yeah, and I promote working smart, not hard. This is
Right.
my thing is, because if we're not burnout, we're gonna enjoy what we're doing in our life, and that's the most important thing. All our patients can see what we're doing. If we're burnout, there's no way that we can really give the best of ourselves. So you work smart, which means that you don't aim to work until 65. Let's retire.
Mhm.
Let's bring nursing retirement to 40 when we can, or 45 or 50, but never 65. Okay. Because a lot of people will get into, illness when they get 65, and you want to enjoy your life. You've been
Right.
taking care of these patients for a long time. The least thing you can do for yourself is just take care of yourself. There's no way you can give your best unless you're happy and your full well-being. You have to take care of yourself. So work smart, again, not hard. There are ways to do it. Overtime, overtime, overtime is not the only answer. Invest in
Mhm.
yourself, invest in your knowledge, invest in your growth, and that's travel nursing can bring that financial growth, career growth, and personal growth. Okay.
Thank you, Travel Nurse Hacker Kaye. And Miss Anna, you want to plug your advocacies and your TCR?
Oh, we're both in need of full health verification in the Philippines. That's what we're getting a lot now, help for the school because a lot of people are not in the Philippines anymore. So that's our number one service, school verification all over Metro Manila, whatever school at you St. Paul that you need, send us a message on the email. Very compliant naman yung akong staff for the school
Right.
verification.
Right.
And only PRC need lang po PRC need. But anyway, like what my other friend here said, I want to say thank you. Finally, I met Paul, and I met Clay a year ago, but
Happy.
Paul and Green. I hope Nurse Juan and also meet you someday
We
and
have to
have a
go to
Soon.
dinner.
Kentucky to see one.
It's so nice, like calling all the nurses, these people that I met, very smart. I've learned a lot from them, and I'm so happy finally that always via Facebook kami nag-uusap.
Or Facebook
It's
friends.
so different. Like we've been talking for a long time, and it's like a blind eye eyeball thing for us last week.
90s eyeball.
Thank you, Ma'am Green. Also, thank you for seeing us. All of us were busy, pero we always make a time to see one another. And I want to say hi to all our spouses, to the man behind the Aura admin. Especially sa asawa ko, very supportive. Thank you so much. And
Thank you.
always dream in Lepora. Lepora will always help you. Lepora is right behind you for help, whatever you need. It's not easy. Pay's doing a lot of work. Thank you, Pay. Thank you, Paul and Nurse Juan. I love you all.
Thank you, guys.
Thank
This is
you.
a very fun show. It's the longest show I did so far, but it didn't feel like it's almost 2 hours. But thank you for your time. This is pro bono to everyone who's watching. I didn't pay Kay or Anna or Nurse One. They just
No.
voluntarily.
Not paid.
Um,
I'm paid. Just kidding.
we gotta stop.
Just kidding. No.
But thank you so much, everyone, for sharing your expertise and experiences. We've learned a lot from you. And next week, guys, in Dr. Nurse Paul Show, we're going to talk about another case study in the next gen NCLEX. And there will be one
Hey.
winner for an NCLEX review
Hey.
program during that show. And watch out for my announcement. I have something doing for the Nurses Month at the Dr. Nurse Paul Show. All right. And that's it. Thank you so much. And y'all have a great weekend. Bye.
Yo,
Bye,
how
Louisville.
Y'all have
yo.
a great weekend.
You have just watched the Dr. Nurse Paul Show. Watch us live every Saturday, 8 a.m. Central U.S. Time. For more info about our future events, follow us on our social media channels. You can find us at Dr. Nurse Paul on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. See you next week.